Welcome to Monday Night Live. Another Monday night coming to you to minister prophetically what the Lord is saying, as well as bringing you the word of the Lord. We are excited this year for all the things that are getting ready to happen. I am going to bring some speakers between now and the end of the year that are going to come on Monday night, and I will be announcing them the week of. They are going to be bringing some exciting topics to you on Monday night. So check my page because the announcements will be there. The team is going to be coming again in your area. We will be ministering in the Midwest. So look for us soon like we were when we were here at Malcolm X. We will be coming back to Malcolm X one more time. Also, there's going to be classes that I will be setting up very soon on my page. Check my Facebook page as well as Instagram and YouTube. There's going to be classes on dream interpretation. I'm going to do a very advanced prophetic class, and there's going to be a class on leadership. Also, we have moved Clubhouse to Saturday night at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. And we will be coming back every Saturday from here on out. Now, September the 12th, we will be in Dallas, the Open Door. Look for us. The registration is on my page. Looking forward to hearing from all of you. God bless. Prophet's Cave Live and Reloaded 2026. One day that will transform your prophetic calling forever. This is going to be a day of training and then a blowout ministry time in the evening. Why one day training? Because it's going to be a game changer. You're going to walk away with actionable experience and instruction. A single intensive training session that reshapes what you hear for the rest of your life. This is going to be something that's going to give you a deeper understanding, biblical foundations, life applications with prophetic instruction. Your instructors are Apostle Patricia Smith, a licensed ordained apostle, prophet, pastor, author, and teacher with over 30 years in the ministry. Prophet Art Tiggs, a licensed ordained prophet, minister, and teacher with over 25 years in the ministry. Dr. Kay Robinson, a licensed ordained minister, prophet, teacher, author, life coach, and chaplain with over 40 years in ministry. Prophet Greta Preston, a licensed ordained prophet, minister, teacher, and author with 30 years experience. Prophet Allison Jordan, a prophet, TV, radio host, podcaster, writer, producer with 37 years in the media and entertainment industry. And Prophet Sharice Logan, a licensed ordained prophet and mentor with over 25 years in the ministry. She is a mentor that's ordained, a minister that's ordained, and a member of Divine Destiny Outreach Ministries. This is your lineup of instructors. The classes will be in the morning at 9:30 a.m. and then the entire lineup will repeat again at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Class topics: birthing what you carry, Apostle Patricia Smith; handling grief, Prophet Greta Preston; prophetic 2.0, the cost of carrying the future, Prophet Art Tiggs; the effects of fatherlessness on women, Dr. Kay Robinson; knowing the enemy, his strategy, and maintaining your deliverance, Prophet Sharice Logan; lights, camera, rolls, a hands-on film production workshop by Prophet Allison Jordan. September 12th is the time, 9:30 a.m. September 12th is a date. 9:30 a.m. is the time. There's only 25 seats in each class. So please tap to register right here. The link is provided for you. Step into your calling. Get a deeper understanding. This is your time. We have an exciting announcement to make. Prophet's Cave Live and Reloaded is coming to the Midwest. Yes, we are coming to the Midwest on June the 27th. That's a Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time. The address is 683 83rd Street in Bolingbrook. We are so excited to be able to launch on this night. This will be our new location when we come in to do services. We are going to have a fantastic service and a night of miracles, prophecy, and deliverance. Get there early because seating is limited. Doors will open at 6:30 and then service will begin promptly at 7 p.m. If you were at Malcolm X, you know what's in store. See you soon. Hello, everyone. I see my guest backstage. I saw you backstage for a while, but I didn't say anything because I'm going to bring you on in a bit. But it's good to see everybody. I know you guys were wondering, are we on tonight? Are we not on tonight? But I made sure that I put the announcement up on Saturday. So I'm not going to turn the music on. Usually I kind of like turn the music on because tonight's going to be different. So I'm going to get into the announcements, and then we have a special guest. This conversation is going to be really, really good. I can hardly wait. Tarkisha, thank you for putting in all of the announcements in the chat. I'm going to say hi to a lot of you guys that have come in. Minister Renee, hey, Anna, Cole, good to see you guys in here tonight. Hey, Cheryl. Erica, you guys were on prayer this morning at 5:30. Thank you so much for showing up. Hey, Aunt Riola, my favorite aunt, Linda Whitfield. Joselle from the Philippines, good to see you. Hey, Pastor Corey, I'm looking forward to seeing you next Saturday. It's going to be a blast. I can hardly wait for all these people that are going to come. Prophet Carla, thank you for tagging. I ask you guys to please tag. Excited to see you, Teresa, and your sister, Kim. I know you guys are going to be this is going to be a night to remember. A night to remember. I can hardly wait. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. Awesome. Erica Young, I hate that you can't be there. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Latoya, for tagging all these people. Thank you so much. Let me see. Pastor Tish, I'm saying hi to everybody before we get started. Hey, Monique, good to see you guys in here. You were on prayer this morning. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. It's actually in 2 weeks. Tarkisha, you put in 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks, believe it or not. It was 2 weeks from this past Saturday, because today is the 15th. So 2 weeks from today is the 29th, which would be after it's over. And I'm like, just can hardly wait. I'm like super excited. Thank you for putting all the announcements in there. Hi, Kyra. It's good to see you. Kyra Clopton, I know she's a guest of our guest. Diana Hampton, it's got to be a guest of our guest. These are people who I don't see that often. I'm going to pop this in here for you right quick, Diana Hampton. There's an opportunity that's coming up for you. I hear that in the spirit, from the Spirit of the Lord. There is something coming your way. There's going to be you're getting ready to have a career change. I've never met you. I know this is your first time on here, but I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying there's getting ready to be a career change for you, Diana Hampton, Hampton, and it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting, and it's going to be like a tall glass of water. It's going to be just something different, refreshing, exciting. It's going to be good, but there's something coming your way, a new opportunity that's going to switch you out of a lane that you're in into an entirely different lane. It's going to put a hat on you that you didn't even know you had. There's a gifting in you that you have not used. And this opportunity is going to pull on that gift, because you're going to actually feel like you're overwhelmed. Like, I don't even know if I can't do this, although it's an opportunity that's too good to pass up. So the Lord is releasing this word to you now to let you know he's already prepared you for it. So don't be overcome with any type of anxiety, because he's already prepared you for whatever this is that's coming. That's why he's releasing this word to you now, to tell you to go full steam ahead in this thing, because it's going to change so much for you. It's even going to relocate you into a different region eventually. This is a great opportunity that's coming for you, Diana. So it's going to be awesome. So Lord, we thank you for the release of that word for your daughter. And we cancel every demonic assignment that would try to come against it and sabotage it. We thank you that she will steward it in prayer and stand in it and believe it in Jesus' name. Amen. 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 Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you so, so much. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a lot going on this month. I'm thinking about turning my music on, but I don't know. Let me see. I think I already have it up. That's the problem. But if I turn it on, you guys are not going to be able to hear it. I don't think so. Let me see if I can put it on right quick. I don't think so, though, because I got a lot of stuff. Let me see if I can. But I thank you guys so much for coming in here. We're going to have a different format tonight. I don't want to tell you what it is just yet because I want to get through the announcements, and then I'm going to go ahead and say who it is and what we're getting ready to do. So I'll just turn my music on for a little bit. Let me see if I could do my keyboard. Forgive me, you all, for me being so not prepared like I should be. Yeah, I don't want to have it too loud. So anyway, I want to just make sure that I catch everybody before we start. I think I got everybody that's in here now. There's some new people. Samaya, I think I've seen you before. Samaya Walker. I know you're new. It's good to see you in here. Man, the prophetic is like just popping off. Oh my goodness. I don't even want to start. Oh my goodness. Samaya, there's something in the music industry for you. I will just say that. There's something concerning music for you. People that are new, I love it because I don't know anything about you, but there's something concerning, it's in the kingdom, and it's in music. It's something concerning music. I don't know if you're a singer, if you're a writer, if you are, a poet, but it's in the arts, it's in music in some kind of way. And the Lord is going to pull you into that. I even see I see instruments involved in this. So whatever it is, the Lord is going to bring you in, and you're going to be like the head of whatever this thing is, almost like like in charge of something. I don't see so much of you being the person in the group, but I see you being the person that's in charge of the group. So it's got something to do with music, but I see where you are in charge. Hey, Pastor Dorothy, it's good to see you. So that is what the Lord is releasing. This is something that's coming for you in the way of praise and worship and music as well. It's even outside of praise and worship. It's going into other areas of songwriting, in the church and in the secular world. But you are in charge. Whatever this thing is, you're in the vanguard. You're in the head of this thing that the Lord is going to release. I'm going to stop because if I keep going, I'm going to start prophesying, and then I'll never get our guests up. So let me, hey, Kay, it's good to see you, hon. Can't wait to see you next week. I'm so excited. I think I said hi, Pastor Dorothy. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Tiffany Henderson. Good to see you guys. So let me start with the announcements so we can get going for tonight. So 3 things that you need to know. I know you Knicks fans know that they won on Saturday. I became a New York Knicks in the playoffs. I became a Knicks fan in the playoffs because I was never a New York Knicks fan when the Bulls were playing, and I couldn't stand Isaiah Thomas of Detroit Pistons and hated all them teams. But I was for the Knicks, and if you guys watch the game, they put on a fantastic series. It was absolutely amazing. Kay, you said, yay, me too. Hey, LaRon, I prayed for you, LaRon, earnestly pray for you. Hey, Shamika. Hey, Tricia, good to see you, honey. Can't wait to see you next weekend. So Knicks won their first championship, as you all know, for the first time in 53 years. And I have been for the last 48 hours watching interview after interview after interview. Everybody from Spike Lee to Patrick Ewing, all the people that have gotten on there to give their 29 cents about the games and the playoffs. And Jalen was on The View today, and that was different. And he came on there with his little signature hat on, and they screamed when he came out. It was really good. So if you go on YouTube, you can watch it. Okay, so this is disgusting. I really shouldn't even give it any airtime, but it's in the 3 things that you need to know. I mean, I don't know. This will probably be the last time that I'll even give any type of comment on something like this, because it's like, what else do you expect out of the White House? I mean, I've gotten to the point, and like I told you all, it has nothing to do with partisanship. It has nothing to do with Democrat or a Republican. When I give commentary, it has everything to do with right and wrong. It's period. It has everything to do with ethics, morality. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. So that they had, this is like, we got a reality star in the White House. And I don't even really want to call him a reality star, because he just hosted a reality show. And that's what we have in the White House. And his whole underpinning of his life is arts and entertainment. So when have we ever had a UFC heavyweight fight on the White House lawn? Do you know what they would have did to Obama had he did something like that? Can you even imagine it at all? Hey, Peggy. How are you, hon? You said everything to do with decency. Yes, I know. Barita, good to see all of you, all you new people. Thank you for coming. Hey, Tiffany, Barita DeQuinn, you're a pastor. Amen. So, yeah, let me just get through this. I took the quote off. I copied and pasted it. It says, after winning the biggest fight of his career Sunday night on the South Lawn of the White House, UFC heavyweight Josh Hockett, this is the guy's name, targeted an unexpected person in his post-fight interview. Now, you can't convince me that this wasn't done with the knowledge of the president, knowing that this was going to be said. I don't understand the animus that he has for the Obamas. Is just simply unrealistic. It's otherworldly. And so he says he targeted an unexpected person in his post-fight interview, former First Lady Michelle Obama. Why would they talk about Michelle Obama at this weekend's UFC heavyweight fight? And he says, quote, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? Reaction from the spectators on the South Lawn was largely shocked silence. On the ellipse, where tens of thousands of people gathered for a UFC Freedom 250 watch party, his disparaging comment about Obama drew mixed reactions. There were some cheers and some equally quizzical looks at what the heavyweight had just said. So you tell me if that had been discussed prior to. You tell me if no one knew that was going to be said. That's very hard for me to believe that no one knew that was going to be said. Third thing, Iran and the U.S. have signed an agreement that was expected to open the Strait of Hormuz, but the specific terms of the deal have not been inked. And Israel, which is Benjamin Netanyahu, is not on board. I'm going to tell you what I've read in so many different outlets. The bottom line is Iran is not going to agree to open the strait until Trump gives them $24 billion of their frozen money. That's what they want. And until they get that, they're not opening the strait up, plain and simple. So all of this, the war is ending tomorrow. We got 60-day agreement for talks. We have peace in the Middle East is a bunch of BS, because Benjamin Netanyahu is still bombing Lebanon and there's no peace nowhere. So 3 things you need to know. That's it. Now, prophetic advisement, I still do the prophetic advisements. I've been doing them for, oh my God, is it going on 14 years now? And if you would like a prophetic advisement, this is where you would go ahead and set up your session. And for those of you that are on here that are new, excuse me, the way it works is, I put a timer on that accidentally, it's going to go off. But that's where you would book your advisement, jajourneyconsulting.com. I get in prayer and hear from the Lord about you. And he releases what he wants me to tell you. And it could be anything. It could be a different career. It could be something about your marriage. It could be something about you getting married. It could be something about school, just anything. And so whatever the Lord releases for the first 6 or 7 minutes, that's what we talk about is your prophetic release. And then we go into your advisement, which is about 45 minutes in duration. And everything is recorded and it's all on a video recording. And so when I'm done with that, then I download it to you and it's yours to keep for all time. So again, I'll put this back up because I didn't mean to put the timer on it. Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm just clicking the wrong stuff. Here it is. So that is where you would book, jajourneyconsulting.com. That's where you can take a picture of it with your phone. And my I don't want to say my calendar is up to date, just book. And if I can't do the date, I'll contact you and we'll work out another date because I am really traveling all the rest of this month. And after the 4th of July is when I stop. So I have a lot of stuff going on, but I'm in and out. So it just depends on what you book, if I can do it or not. Now, September the 12th is our big conference, Prophets Cave Live and Reloaded. And I really have effective today started working the staff to help with the marketing as far as giving information, because I hired a marketing team. They're doing our first press release, Tarkisha. I'm going to send everybody a copy of it and you can use it if you want. I'm not, asking you to use it, but they're doing our first press release here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it's a whole lot. And they're really pushing the instructors. They're really pushing you all in order to get your classes beefed up and a lot of people to sign up for your classes. So I'm like super excited about that. And so they're asking, I already sent you all the email tonight for you to do your 30 to 60 second videos. They're going to use those in clips. They are doing a lot of work. So they just started last week and I'm excited about that. So September the 12th is a Saturday. We're doing 6 classes during the day. You can go on my page, June Hollingsworth, and the flyer is pinned at the top of the page. Tarkisha has a lot of information in the chat about it, so you can read that or scroll and take a picture with it with your phone. And the classes are only $25. You can only take a maximum of 2 because we're only running the classes once in the morning and then the same exact classes again once in the afternoon. So you can take a class from 9:30 to 9:30 to 11, and then we're going to take a break, a nice break. I don't believe in making people gobble food down. So at 1 o'clock, we will come back, and the afternoon classes will be from 1 to 2:30. And then you'll be able to leave and go for dinner, and then we'll have the blowout night, prophetic night. We're going to be prophesying to all of you all, and that is a free service. We don't charge for our services, but the class is $25. Even my marketer said, that is unrealistic. And I said, I'm just not going to charge $199 for a class, and people got to get airplane tickets in this crazy economy and hotel rooms and all of that. So I know what it was like to travel to these conferences and spend loads of money and then be almost broke when you go home and want to go to classes. People want you to buy books, just all kind of stuff. So I tried to make the classes reasonable for that very reason. Okay, so June 27th, it is almost here, you all. I want all of you all listening to come. Now, like I said before, and I've said it so many times, that you all cannot see the real count on here because it shows something like 55, 56 people, but there's actually over 250 people watching this video right now, watching us live, because I have the real count. So I'm really excited. So I'm telling all of you all to come 683 83rd Street in Bolingbrook, Illinois on Saturday, June the 27th. Ignite 2026 is going to be fantastic. It's free, and we're going to be prophesying. There's going to be 5 teams of prophets prophesying to all of you all that want prophecy that night. So I suggest you get there at 6:30 when the doors open so you can get a seat. I am trying to reserve about 30 seats, but I can't reserve more than that because it wouldn't be fair. So just get there early so you can get a seat. But that's June 27th on a Saturday, and we are like just super, super excited to see all of you all. We're in your backyard. We're in the Midwest. We're not in Dallas on the 27th. We're right there in the Chicago area in Bolingbrook. So we're looking forward to all of you coming, okay? Last announcement, and then we're going to get started. Clubhouse is closed, lights out in Clubhouse until July the 11th because of me traveling. So I could have tried to have Clubhouse the week of the 4th, but why? And everybody's, traveling or doing, family stuff. And so I said, okay, I can't do it the rest of this month because I'm back on the plane this Thursday. I'm back on the plane next Friday. So I just came home yesterday. So I just can't do it until the 11th. So lights out, mark your calendars, and I'll try to, I always try to put stuff on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok to remind you guys, even in my stories, of the calendar. So that is it for announcements. Just remember, I'm looking to see you guys on the 27th of June. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Okay, so tonight starts another, I had said I was going to have speakers all year, and so far I've only had one. So this is my second speaker. Latoya Ledbetter is who is coming in a second. I am so excited about this conversation, and you all know that you can take part in the conversation, which y'all do. Y'all put your 29 cents in and comments and stuff. And so this is called I don't want to mess it up. I want to make sure that I say it the way I had it. The First Lady Conversation. And I have had so much experience with First Ladies. And I'm going to, chop it up with her. This is going to be an interview style tonight. And so we just wanted to talk about, oh my God, y'all, I have been an armor bearer to 6 First Ladies. So I have a lot of experience in the ups and downs and how they are collateral damage to so much in the church world. And we are going to talk about as much as we can, because we are on a public platform and we know how people, they are so thin-skinned and have their feelings on their shoulders about stuff that you say and want to come for you. And so we ain't got time for that, so we'll probably do a part 2, and it'll be in a closed house on Clubhouse or either on Zoom. So I'm going to bring her on. Let me change this. There you go. There you are, darling. Latoya. And is it Ledbetter or Strickland? Which one do you want to go by?
I tell people whichever you're comfortable with. I've been going by Latoya Strickland Ledbetter only because I want people to know Strickland is me too. So when I am Strickland, people will associate it. So people call me whichever, but Latoya is completely fine.
Okay. So I'm going to take the music off. What I want to do, this is going to be interview style, like I had told you before. So you're going to have a lot of opportunity to talk. But I want you to open up and start by telling everyone who you are and how you arrived to this day as an ex-First Lady.
Yes, so my name is Latoya. I am in Chicago. I've been a Chicago girl all of my life. Who I am right now, I am a girl that is a lover of God at heart, number one. I tell people I love God and I do business well. So people know me often either through church, church leadership, or through business and business leadership, because I've had an amazing business career and I've also had a lot of experience in leadership in ministry position as well. Yeah, as far as being here in this position, I was a pastor's wife for 10 years, married August 23rd, 2014, and the marriage ended September 19th, 2024. So a little over a year and a half, not quite 2 years. So right now, I am a girl that, again, like I said, love God and going after everything that He has for me, because that was just one chapter and there's a whole lot more to go.
I didn't know you were married 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Long time. So you can disclose whatever you want. I'm not going to ask you invasive questions because I don't believe in that. It's nobody's business about our personal life and things that we don't want to discuss. So I have made these questions pretty general. I've tried to make them interesting and make them questions where we can chop it up and go back and forth, and people can, make their comments. There's lots of people saying stuff. I don't know. Can you see the chat? Everybody's saying hi to you in the chat.
I can't. I'm so grateful that everybody is joined on.
Yeah, Phyllis Bridges is saying hi.
Well, I should say that because of this conversation, I've invited a ton of my First Lady sisters. Okay. So Phyllis is a First Lady. Kyra, you mentioned her earlier. She's a First Lady. Lady Lorraine Wright. I'm just trying to go off my memory. Lady Terry Hunter.
Peggy Stewart's in here. Hey, Demetria, I want to say hi to you, honey, Minister Demetria. Tonda Marcus.
Yeah, so interesting enough, I worked with Tonda. One of my positions, I not only was a First Lady, but I worked to help First Ladies, and Tonda and I worked together. It was an organization, still exists today, a little smaller than it was when we were there, but it was the First Ladies Health Initiative, where the two of us helped over 200 churches across the country to be able to execute full health fairs. So not just health, but we did things in finance and education. So here in Chicago, we had a chapter in Los Angeles and Indiana, had a couple churches in Atlanta begin to start picking up, the weight and start doing the work there. So that's the really incredible thing is I not only served in my church, but I've helped hundreds of other First Ladies in churches as well. So I have many friends, many First Ladies.
Yeah, Karen Causey Smith.
That's the First Lady.
Kenyana Monet.
Kiana, that's my sister friend.
Oh, okay. I'm saying it wrong. Ethel Kimball Young.
So there's many of them. Sister Ethel, I go to church with her.
Okay. Let me stop because there's a lot of people on here.
There's a lot of people. I was very intentional in how I did this because to your point, there would be a lot of people that maybe were listening just to listen, and there are people I know that are going to listen to support. So I was very intentional in who I wanted to be part of this conversation. So, but like I said, I invited all the First Ladies so they could chime in as well.
Yeah, and I will try to you know what, I need to Tarkisha, if I don't catch some of these comments, text me in my phone if there's somebody trying to really get a comment in and I miss it. Now let me get my phone right quick. So
I'm sorry. I should also add there are a couple pastors watching as well, and that will be joining too. So
really? Okay. Well, hey, pastors. All right. Let me move something over so I can scoot and get my phone. So yeah, you don't have to text me, Tarkisha, unless what I'm trying to do is get up so you can't see me from the waist down, because you know how that goes. You don't want to be on camera. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring my phone and I'll have to take the do not disturb off, Tarkisha, so I can hear if you happen to send me a message. But I'll try to catch whatever you put in the chat if I see something. So this is what I'm going to do. I have a bunch of questions I prepared ahead of time, but anything that you want to talk about, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out asking you a question, and we're going to alternate back and forth. And I'll say, okay, what would you like to discuss? Is there something, what would you like to talk about at this juncture? So it doesn't have to be all the questions, me asking everything. You are free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Because if I start talking about my experience with first ladies, we'll be on here 3 hours. So I am going to give a little bit, but this is not about me. This is about you. So the first question that I wanted to ask you was, what was the most challenging experience you ever had as being first lady?
Ooh, I'll say so. We just go.
We're gonna go right into it. Yes.
Wow.
And let me tell you, if you say I'd rather pass, I don't have a problem with it. We can pass.
I think there's
what what I'll do is if you say I'd rather pass, and I'll tell you I'll answer and say my experience with the first lady.
I think that there's some things that I can answer with no problem publicly, and there's some things I'll probably say like, let's do a part 2. So what I will say is, and like I said, I intentionally invited. Oh, I should also shout out my mama is on here too, and my sister is on here too. But like I said, I've intentionally invited quite a few first ladies. So if you see me looking down, I'm trying to attempt to look at comments at the same time too. So I've asked them to be on that. I want them to be able to speak to some of their experiences and things as well, because there are ladies of different tenures, different years, have been married. Some of them have been married 40, 50 years, even different denominations. So I just wanted to be really intentional in making sure that it was a plethora of voices of women that have been or are in this role and can speak to it honestly and transparently. So just putting that out there, that there are some that are bolder than others and might just answer some of those questions in the chat. I think that to answer that question in the part 1 version of this discussion, I will say, and I think I'll just speak generally for first ladies, I think that sometimes people look at you as the title and not the person. And what I mean by that is you will have people, and if you see me pause, just gathering my words, to make sure I say this in a way that is okay. But you will have people that often don't understand what it is to be in this position. So sometimes they'll make assumptions of you, your time, your capacity. They will sometimes treat you or mistreat you by their assumptions of you. So I think the most negative, if I have to say negative, is just the perceptions that people can have based on your connection. And honestly, let's be transparent, in your disconnection, in my case, that sometimes people's treatment will be predicated on where you are, what season you are, who you're with, who you're not with. So that's speaking to one side. But in the position of first lady, I think it's just sometimes people not fully understanding what that looks like. And so people can judge. They could get thoughts about you and your role that aren't always true, just based on church. Sometimes people talk, they have assumptions, preconceived notions from whatever churches they've come from. And sometimes I will also say they'll place a box on you or place you in a box of what you can do or you can't do. Well, you can't do this because you're a first lady, or our first lady before never did that. So why do you think you can do that? So a lot of times people box you into their own narrative of who they think you should be. And that can sometimes be difficult to navigate if you don't have the right leadership or community or help around you. It could feel isolating. You can feel alone, that's one way that I can go. Another way I think is People talk about church hurt, and then there's the discussion of whether it's the church hurt or the people in the church hurting you. Sometimes it can be hurtful. I'll speak from a married place. If you have people that are speaking against the person you're married to, negatively, and they're speaking to you about it, and you're now in a position that, yes, this is the pastor, but he's still my husband.
Right.
And that can be very painful to navigate these people, that make comments, sometimes blatantly, sometimes openly, sometimes passively, that will challenge you, that'll, put certain things out to see how you will respond. And then it can be negative when I've had to tell a lot of, especially women that were newly married to pastors, the one thing I learned early on, it's not what people say, it's how you respond, it's how you react. And they won't remember what was said or done to you. They'll only remember how you responded to it. And so if you can remember that, where you're a wife just like any other woman, and you might want to say, who do you think you're talking to, or you're like, wait, what did you say about my kids? You can't respond in the way, that you might want to naturally, because of, again, people's thoughts, preconceived notions, comments, things like that. So I learned early, thick skin, know how to pray, have a great relationship with God, with spiritual leaders, with your spouse, your husband, because it can be challenging, honestly, to deal with people, if I be completely honest.
Definitely. I will say this. I'm looking at some things in the chat. And Kay, my sister, she said, the first lady, one of the challenges is being overlooked and disrespected. And I wanted to say something in that regard when it comes to a husband, a senior leader that has single women working with them, and they have their wife as, you know where I'm going. And so what I have found, because, I've worked for 6 first ladies, and out of all of them, I had one that was, I really believe the Lord put me with her to put some skills in my toolbox that I didn't have, because she absolutely despised me. Out of all the other ones, I had beautiful relationships, but this one, it was terrible. Why was it terrible? So let me answer to Kay's comment about being disrespected. If you were to say, what did Prophet June do? It would be, what did the husband do? So it's the way the husband treats the single women in juxtaposition to their wife. In other words, I knew my name was being said in ways that was improper. You should never be respecting a single woman more than your wife. You should never be putting a single woman up in front of your wife as far as their abilities or whatever. There shouldn't be any catering to her. And when I would see that, I've even taken myself out of it. I've seen it with other women where they were catered to and preferred because of their skill set in comparison to the first lady. And the husband would, favor them and give them position, but that's a very difficult balance. And I personally feel like that should never happen. It just should never happen.
I can also say, and just so you know, I was able to figure out the comments. So, hey, y'all, these comments are awesome. I will also say, I think what's really important too is how the pastor treats his wife. Yes. How he addresses her, how he acknowledges her. People watch. People respect what you respect as the leader. And if you are blatantly and publicly disrespecting her, it's going to soon follow. Unfortunately. Now, there are, of course, that doesn't run the gamut across the board. You will have people that are just not going to be disrespectful, because that's just how they are. They are respectful people, regardless. They know right from wrong. But that is very important, that there are some people that are going to simply follow. And unfortunately, if you show disrespect, they are going to go right with it, because they're going to honor their leader, unfortunately, even if he is being dishonorable. And that is an honest truth. And I love that there are first ladies commenting and agreeing to what I'm saying right now as well. I'll also say too, to the point that you just made about respect. When I say I have met and worked and known so many pastors' wives, that is a sweet spot for me. I love the ladies. I love women in general, women's ministry ladies, but I have a thing about the ladies that support the minister to the minister is what we have called it before. And I have a heart for those ladies because they are often overlooked. Sometimes they can be disrespected. Sometimes you are the behind the scenes person moving the engine along. So where you see this incredible man that is on fire for God, and he's got all of this anointing and fire, and some of these wives aren't in the suits, getting the kids together, cooking the meals, making sure, if it's at the church, making sure the church is the ministries. I can list a lineage of ministries that I help to build up, and things and stuff in church, because my thought was, I don't want him to have to focus on that. I want his focus to be in the pulpit and ministry, and the other areas that I know I am strong in, those will be the areas that I can lead in. And so a lot of wives go unrecognized, go unnoticed, because they're doing that work behind the scenes to make sure that that load is kind of taken off of him. And again, to your point of disrespect, I'll just give this example. I met this one woman, not just speaking to race, but it was just the point of, you think it's just in the Black church, and it's not. I met a woman, a white woman that was a pastor's wife. And I remember her saying that people physically pushed her out the way to speak to her husband.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember her just talking through the pain and the hurt of, I'm a person too. I'm married to him. But if he's not around, then I don't essentially matter. And again, I'm not saying that that's the case. There are many pastors that elevate, they honor, they uplift their wives, but because that's the question, of talking through disrespect, that sometimes can happen, unfortunately, and it's not just relegated to the Black church.
Julia said, I was a pastor's wife for 16 years and it was rough. I believe you. And this is something that I wanted to ask you. My observation in working for 6 first ladies, all African-American, with the exception of one Caucasian woman. And that dichotomy was just entirely different, and it's cultural because it just is. But what I noticed about I don't want to generalize or do a paintbrush, but with just the 5 African-American men that I saw that were senior leaders, they did not promote their wives in ministry to be equal to them as far as preaching, teaching. I see you laughing. I've seen some that even diminished them and did not want them to accelerate and excel. And I've saw disrespect. I'm like, you're supposed to cover and cultivate your wife and help her to become better. So did you experience internal competition in that regard?
So what I will say, because that's definitely a part 2 conversation. But what I will say, that I can say is, sometimes, I will say this very generally, I do think sometimes it does depend on denomination. I know some denominations, and that's why I'm like, this goes right into a very deeper discussion where I feel like we do need a private, more of a Zoom open space where more ladies can speak to this, because they could speak from different denominations and different experiences. But I do believe that sometimes, based on denomination, it's not even allowed for a woman. It's not expected. It's not, the woman is not even in the space of thinking that's even a position for me, let alone the pastor, or the church. So I think sometimes that does stem from the type of church that you're at and the overall belief system that's never an expectation in the beginning. Now I'll speak to the churches, because I'm like, that's like the level setting across all churches, that there are some that will never happen. based, I mean, we just saw what happened down south with the convention. I'll just leave that generally.
The Southern Baptist Convention, they ain't gonna never change.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there
Right.
are some spaces where that is the expectation. It is assumed that that's not what you are there to do
Right.
in the beginning. So I will say, hello, First Lady Bianca. So I see more and more coming in commenting.
She said, talk about it.
Yes. Yeah, I will definitely say that I do think, again, that goes to the person you're married to, the belief system they have. I know some pastors that don't believe in their wives. Some of them will tell you, because I married her doesn't immediately make her a leader, a part of ministry where she's going to preach. That might not be her calling. It has to be a call. And that's, again, after we've talked through the churches that do allow it. Mm-hmm. So I do think that definitely becomes a deeper conversation. I will say, generally, I know of situations where pastors have had issues with their wives. They felt that, you are to just be seen. It wasn't for you to necessarily get in, and both of you all are co-pastors or co-leaders in ministry. That's not what I want. And I think that, I'm sure if you had pastors on, I've heard them say time and time again. So in all fairness, to speak for them who are not here, there are some that will say, she married for me, not for the church.
Oh, yeah.
And so some of them will say, and I get it, they want that, this is my wife. I don't want her to feel like she has to do all the stuff in my world and then be at home too. So there's some men in ministry that is the understanding from the beginning. And I think if that's who you're married to, and that's the conversation you've had, I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I think just understanding at the beginning before you get married, as a leader, what is the expectation as a wife? Do you believe in women in ministry? Do you believe that women preach? Do you believe that one day, that I'm just speaking generally, that me as a wife might be called to preach? And how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about that at your church? So I do think those questions need to be broached early on, because that will definitely cause some contention as you go throughout the marriage. And let's say she does realize later on, there is a call on my life. Do you now divorce her because, well, that's not what I believed in the beginning? So some of that can get kind of deep depending on what was the belief system of the pastor, the leader, and the church system that he is connected to or a part of. But yeah, to just generally speak though, yes, I've definitely seen situations of husbands that do not want their wife, I guess, to be in the spotlight. They can feel a little bit of, I don't want to say jealousy, but they can feel a little bit of a way if she's starting to do a little bit more than what was, I guess, expected initially. So I think it really goes back to who was the husband, his character and belief system as a man, because a real man is going to support his wife. If he knows she has a call, he's not going to say, I'm mad at you because God gave you a call, and I think there's ways to go about it. And I do think that a man that loves and supports his wife is going to love and support her in ministry and in secular, whether business, political, whatever arena she's in.
Can you see that comment on the screen?
Yes, that is one of my sister friends.
Okay, so yes. She says, when you're such a gifted and empowered woman, a man can definitely become intimidated, unfortunately. And to speak to what you said about having a conversation in the beginning, I'm gonna be just quite transparent. Black women are not going nowhere when they've fallen head over heels in love with a man. I don't care what he says. They're gonna marry him no matter what. That's just the way it is. You're not gonna find a Black woman that loves a man that's, pastor, no pastor. And when I'm talking about loves a man, if he were to say, I really would prefer you not do such and such, they're going to go ahead 9 times out of 10 and marry that man anyway. They're not going to have conversations and say, well, if I can't excel, in the pulpit, then I'm leaving you. So to that point, when it gets to that, because that's what actually will happen, you will marry, you'll fall in love, you'll marry, and most women or even men feel like they can change the partner as we evolve. And once things begin to fray, here is my question to you all in the chat. answer me this question. If it got to the point that you said on YouTube, Corey Wright said it, I saw Pastor Corey said he's looking for a co-pastor, not a first lady. Good statement. But my question to you all in the chat, and answer me, would you get a divorce or would you stay? If it evolved to the point in the marriage where it became a deal breaker because now you have a calling on your life, you're totally in love with this man, but this man has told you, I am the head and I don't want, as Pastor Corey said, a co-pastor. I don't want someone getting dates and I'm getting dates, got a limousine and I got a limousine. I don't want that. And you say what? I want you all to answer me, would you get a divorce or would you just lay it all down for the sake of the marriage and walk away and stay with your husband? So
now I will say this, I will use a very general example because I know of a situation kind of where that a little bit happened. It's really interesting in that she later on, and this has really legitimately happened here. She realized that she had a call on her life. But again, that's what I mean by the belief system could be connected to his belief. She was in a denomination where it was not kosher for her to be considered a minister, to be in ministry. And so she sat on her gift because, again, she loved her husband. And I think, and this is a tangential point, but I'll come back to where I was going. I think that happens not even just in ministry, that can happen across the board where, like to your point, women feel I can change him. I know he's saying this right now. He doesn't want kids, or, he wants to move to Oklahoma or whatever the thing is. I'll change him, when we're together. And I think it's not even just ministry, but really understanding how much can you change someone and what are you doing in the natural to change them essentially from what their belief system is. But I will say there are instances where that happens. And because I do know of someone 1,000% here that for a long time, she sat on what she believed absolutely was a call from the Lord to preach. But what I will also say is she began to pray. And I mean, for years, she was on her knees praying that God would turn this around. And I remember her saying it was very hard for her because she felt like she was torn between what she felt God was calling her to do and the respect she had for her husband as her leader. And she was following him. But she kept praying and praying and praying. And he came to her one day and said, God spoke to me. And she just never saw this happening. But he came to her and said, God spoke to me and he's made it very clear that this is your call and I will not stand in the way. And she has went ahead and took all the steps to go fully into ministry. But it was not an immediate step. It took some time for them to get there, but it took a lot of prayer. So I'm not saying it's impossible by any means, because I have seen it firsthand. And it's a beautiful story, the way that it has turned out. And she uses that now as a testimony.
Well, Bianca, she's on the screen. And she
says,
when women marry, in spite of their calling, it becomes an act of disobedience. In the end, she'll have to choose being obedient to God over submitting to the will of her husband. Oh, but then people will come to you and say, okay, so what about the word of the Lord that says, wives, submit to your husbands? Oh my God, as unto the Lord. There would be a lot of dissension over that, a lot. But I'm going to give you space right here. There's something that you want to bring up at this point before I go to the next question.
No, I think this is great so far. The one thing I will say is I definitely will take some roads. I'll take some turns on some streets. So if you bring something up, I might say like, oh, that, takes me to a thought or something that I can add in. So. Okay.
So Angelique says, I would leave that to God, because when call is real, God will work on that man and deliver that news to him, in my opinion.
Now that's what happened in the story that I just mentioned. And when I say years, it was years. And it absolutely happened that way, that she she literally said, I'm leaving this. And now I will say, she learned of or realized her calling in the marriage. It wasn't like I got married knowing, but throughout the marriage, she found out. And she said, I'm going to leave this to God, because if this is a calling for real, then God is going to have to do something in his heart to soften his heart to this for me. And it did happen.
Okay. I'm going to chime in on the back end of this next question, because I can give an example of a first lady involved in this. So, did you have little or no voice when it came to making church decisions? When it came to making decisions involving the ministry?
Yeah, I think it really just depended on what it was. If it was an area like the entire ministry, no, and I didn't want that responsibility, honestly. No, but you're also talking about a very large, at that time, a very large congregation, historic congregation, so or historic church. So that's not. I didn't feel that call. I never want to be in the way of, if God is talking to you, you listen to God. Now, if I'm in prayer and God gives me something that can help you, now I'm absolutely going to say, hey, have you considered this? Or have you thought about this? I might give suggestions that, these are things that can help. But
when you gave the suggestion, was it batted back? Was it like not accepted?
No, it really depended on what the things were. And that's why I say, that's why I kind of preface it by saying it really depends on the leader. Mm-hmm. It depends on their character and the church and the belief system. In my case, I definitely was able to have conversations. Now, I will also go backwards and say, like the point I just made of understanding even before you're married, I don't want to say your place, but understanding what you can and cannot do. Mm-hmm. I married somebody that knew that I've been in church all my life, but my background also is business. And I've been able to do strategy and marketing and all kind of building for multi-billion-dollar, in some cases, corporations that are globally known. So me saying something, I'm not just saying something because I guess what I'll say is I was not going to speak unless either God put that on my heart to do, or something that was so blatantly obvious in my realm that I knew could help. So I'm not often just chiming in, you need to do this, you should do this, because I never felt that was my place. Mm-hmm. Now, I do know that there are some churches, size of church matters. There might be a smaller church where the pastor and wife do lead together. Maybe they are co-pastors. They do have the responsibility in some cases to offer up suggestion, direction. In my case, I didn't have to do that. We had quite a large team of trustees, deacons, directors, all kind of people in position. So if I gave thought, it would be the things that I know would only help him to improve areas that would just make it easier for him. Again, that was always my thought. If I'm going to be in this with you, then my thought is, how can I help you and not be a hindrance, especially when it came to building ministry. So I'm not speaking unless I feel, hey, this could help. Instead of doing it this way, have you considered this? What I appreciated is he absolutely would listen, and he definitely say, okay, yeah, let's try that. And there were instances where he implemented those things and they would work. Now, if I'm over, like I was over the women's ministry, which were a few hundred women, and there was a team, 10, 12, I think, of ladies on that team with me, that we were all leaders of the women's ministry. In that area, he's completely like this. That's your area. You let me know what it needs to be. But I still honored him in that you're still the pastor. Everything I'm doing, I'm going to run by you. If we do a women's retreat, I'm running the theme by you based on the scripture and everything I've prayed about. Is that connected to your overall theme for the year? I'm running by the speakers. I'm still incorporating you, but I understand in that space, I have a little bit more leeway to have the primary voice in the decision making because of my position in that role. So that was the same with marriage ministry, helping to build up media ministries, different things around the church where I led, I still gave him the respect of, you're still going to know about everything going on. But overall church, that is you. You can have that, sir, unless the Lord says, go tell this man this right now.
Okay.
This is on you.
All right. I'm going to turn the corner here. And
Okay.
this is to give advice to women in ministry that are finding themselves in a difficult marriage, in a marriage that's falling apart. Because I know that you can speak to some things. I'm going to be careful how I tread here. But when the marriage begins to fray, and I've watched so many things over 36 years working with pastors, the woman becomes isolated. I have saw this happen even recently, where when the things that are going on in the home are very evident, it's just like whatever you're putting in your body, it's going to show in your skin, your hair. So whatever is going on in the home begins to show outwardly. So what is your advice to women, first ladies in ministry, that now they are struggling in their marriage, their marriage is in trouble, and they are starting to be isolated? Their husbands are beginning to isolate them and ice them out. What do they do? How do they deal with that? How do they survive emotionally and spiritually in that space and still have to come to church every week and smile and sit on the front bench like everything is cool, but on the inside, they are falling apart?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of this is going to be in the part two. What I will say is that is an extremely difficult position. It can be very lonely. It can really hurt because you learn very quickly who loves you for you and who loves you for your title. I would definitely say find the people that love you for you and not for your title, that don't look at it as, well, he's the pastor, he preached good, he can't be that bad, right? Because I've heard comments like that. And that can be very disheartening when you're going through something and you need help. I will also say that there is nothing wrong with getting help. There is nothing wrong with speaking out, to not be made to feel that something is wrong with you because you don't stay silent in shame. You don't stay in a place where you are just crying and your heart is breaking and you're alone. If you have to find another pastor, another leader, another spiritual leader to be able to say, hey, I need help here because something.
That's dangerous, though.
Oh, it's very dangerous.
Another leader. I saw someone
very dangerous.
End up marrying that person. But let me ask you.
I say do that now. Wait a minute.
Yeah, but that's what happened.
I say go marry the man.
They went to counsel. That's what ended up happening. But so how do you know who is a trusted confidant? What's the litmus test for that? I mean, there's no blueprint for that. So how do you know?
There is not. You really do. Sister Peggy just said that you really do got to use some good common sense with some of what you do. It's got to be a lot of prayer, a lot of common sense of who do I feel is going to really help me through this, that before I got here, I trusted them to be able to help me to get through something. Because I will tell you, I learned firsthand, you can't trust everyone with the title. True. Some people are waiting for the opportunity to say, "Ooh, girl, guess what I heard?" But tell you, "I'm gonna pray for you, though." Yeah. And that is just a layer on top of a layer of heartache. Because when you're in that position, you really are, depending on how bad it is, you're clamoring for help. Like, I just need somebody. Can you just pray with me? I don't know what to do. And I think the weight that people don't consider often, if you're in that position, this is not just your house that's affected. It's not just your husband. This is also your pastor. And people often forget you're now navigating my pastor and husband. I'm struggling and I don't know what to do. So there does take a lot of discernment, a lot of wisdom, knowing who loved you, that is going to sincerely pray with you and for you, not going to use the information to say, see, I told you it wasn't going to last. Not those people, but the people that are genuinely there for you, that really are honest about their walk with Christ, that this is not a game for them. Because I had to tell people, for you, this might look like entertainment because you get to hear the stories, see what's going on week to week, but this is my life. It is not funny to me. And this is something I'm really having to navigate. I will say, yes, find your people, but the first and foremost thing is to get on your knees, because there's some things you really do need to lay before God. There's some things I cannot tell you how many hours I was in the floor. I scriptures on the walls. They could call me crazy if they wanted to, but I know if anybody was going to help me, God was going to be the one. I had books. Heavily in prayer. My prayer life has strengthened 10 times over, because that's where I started getting answers. That's where I started getting answers in dreams. I started hearing God very clearly in things to do, what not to say, where to use wisdom and who to speak to, who didn't mean me well. Some of it in the prayer, some of the discernment started showing through what God started showing me. And that there were times where things would come to me. I didn't have to say anything. I started learning that person doesn't mean good. That person doesn't mean good for him or me. Because here's the thing that people forget. You might be struggling in the marriage, but if you're a good wife, I'm still married to you. I'm still looking at who's mistreating you, even though we might not be getting along. I'm saying, oh, you didn't have his back either. I'm not going to talk to you. You want to see this all come down. And so having the wisdom to know, and I just love the comments. I'm seeing so many people saying wisdom, discernment, wisdom, discernment.
But not only, Sabrina said, interesting, where in the Bible does it say to stay in a toxic marriage? Nowhere.
I think you asked that question when you first started on this topic.
She did. And I scrolled up and I just decided to put it on the screen now because I wanted to speak to it. There's nowhere in the Bible that says, because when I was giving the scenario, I said, you're breaking on the inside. Your marriage is falling apart. What advice can you give to someone? But she's saying, why stay there? And honestly, you don't have to. I mean, there's no place in the Bible that says to stay in a toxic marriage. And toxic, the very definition of it means there's something that's happening that's killing you spiritually and emotionally. And you're basically free to leave. There's all type of scripture that tells you the Lord has called us to peace. And so you are free to leave. But
the unbeliever leaves, that you, absolutely. Yeah. And I think the one thing that I learned, that I tell people too, there has to be two people in the fight for the marriage. Like how you just said, is killing you on the inside and you're fighting for something. There has to be two people fighting. If you're fighting alone, if you're doing everything you can do, then you can walk away. You could feel, I did everything that I could do. It's no longer on me. I did what I was supposed to do. I honored the vow that I set before your family, my family, the church family, and friends. I can only do so much. But if it's two people not in that fight, then you can feel okay that again, like I said, I did what I was supposed to do. And I very much feel that way in my case, that nothing else I could do. So, you do as much as you can do, and knowing that God is pleased in the effort, in the try to honor the vow, that you are not a failure if it did not end in till death do we part, especially if you did everything that you could do in your effort to try to honor what you believe was right. Now, I'm not saying honor and stay and the person is hitting you or physically harming you. I'm not saying that anyway, but I'm saying if in my case, I wanted to do what was honorable. And I believe that that's the same, not just with me. I can speak to a lot of people that I've, over the past few years, I've met, I've read about, I've learned about from all over the world, honestly, that have that same feel. There are Facebook groups, there are all kind of groups about this that I found because I was looking for what can I read or learn or do, because I'd never experienced this before. My parents were married. It was almost 40 years. It was until my father passed away. I'd never seen this. So I didn't have a path to navigate. What do you do, you know, where you're in this position and you're trying to fight for what's right, and you could only do so much. And so that is what I did. I did until I couldn't. And I knew that I had honored God in my effort. So I think, to answer that question though, if you are breaking and you're feeling, you absolutely need wisdom. You need discernment and understanding. If you're going to have a group, it doesn't need to be a large group. It just needs to be a group that, you know, these people, these women, men, whoever it is, preferably women if you're a woman, man if you're a man, but they have wisdom, discernment. They know how to pray. They know how to cover you. They're not gossipers, or they're not coming around to slander you or your spouse, because you really don't need that in that time either. I don't need anybody to tear down this person. I need you to pray for us both. I need you to stand in the gap where right now we're not seeing eye to eye, because how many marriages have gone through situations where it's a bit of a roller coaster. It's good and then it's bad. If you go on in and I hate him, sis, and now you're cursing them out and you don't need him no way. And now that's how Satan gets in. Now I'm in my mind, like, maybe I don't need him. She right. Because no, I don't need that right now. I need you to pray for me. I need you to cover me. And you all doing that, the people that I have used wisdom in choosing to bring into my space in that way, if I feel that that's necessary. But first and foremost, I am on my knees talking to God, fasting, praying, wanting to hear from him directly, because there's some things you don't need to get a consensus about. Some things that many things God will give you directly.
There's two type of people that a first lady can have as a confidant. Number one, the person that was her friend before she became a first lady. And number two, an organic friend that comes into her life through different avenues that God provides, and they just end up connecting. Everything in between is trash. I'm sorry. That's the way I look at it. You can't trust it. You really can't, because people have ulterior motives. They have private agendas. So if you had a friend that was a friend to you before you got into ministry, that's your confidant. That's the person that you can go to. That's your soft place to fall, you know. And then therapists, if you really need to get some answers. And I don't ever suggest for people to go to pastors for counsel. I'm sorry. All due to first ladies and senior leaders, but I feel like you know too much unless you have a master's degree in social services and clinical psychology. That's different. But just because you're a pastor, that started when we were in slavery time, because that was the only place of solace that we had, was the church, to go to the pastor and get counsel. But I truly believe that people need to go to an outside therapist for counsel. Now, my next question: have you ever had?
I'll say this too about the friendship, that sometimes some of the organic friendships, like I was just speaking of prayer and really going to God about, why is this person in my life, allow me to see more than I see, what I may, even in the natural realm. Are you really there for me? Because time is going to show you, you know. It could be a little thing. If I could see, how do you treat me in this little thing? I can't give you a thing with weight, because I see what you do with the lightweight situations. So very much, I agree that if they were with you before, yes. And yes, I just saw Carla say there's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a therapist. Sometimes it can be very helpful because they're not in that church. And this ain't talking about first lady, this is anybody. They're not in the situation. Many times they are unbiased. They don't know. I know therapists that will say, I don't want to know. I don't want to be your Facebook friend. I don't want to know your situation. I don't want to know your spouse. If this is one-on-one counseling, you know, of course, your couples counseling, but I'm saying if this is one-on-one, I've heard therapists say that sometimes they want to be as unbiased as possible so they can give you the best therapy, absolutely a fresh set of eyes and ears, the best thought of how to navigate and the tools to work through whatever it is, the situation you're going through. So yes, therapy, but friends before, absolutely. And the people that come, the people that stay, because it's not about who you are. Like I said, your titles who you're connected to. It's about who you are as a person, who they know you to be, that they know that you're a person of good intention, your heart is right, that you're leading with integrity, that like mine, you're Christian, I'm Christian, and we really love God. We're really trying to do this right. I'm not going to leave you in this. I'm your friend in the bad, just like I was your friend in the high up on the hill. And those are the people that you absolutely keep with you. And like I said from the beginning, I was very intentional, even with who I shared this with tonight. So many of the people here are people that have been with me, that have prayed with me, that they understood that this was not, they really walked through it, or they've had their own situations, or they're leaders in ministry, and they understand the weight of carrying somebody through not just the good, but the bad times as well. So many of these people, if I just shout them out, I'd be on here all day, but I'm very grateful for, and there's a lot of first ladies on here because
I see them.
They understand this is a very hard walk, even when your husband is with you.
Let me say a couple of things to the first ladies. First, Prophet Greta, I'm going to call you when I get off of here. I'm going to say this to first ladies. If I do a part 2, it can only be for first ladies only. Even if we do it on Zoom, no one else can be invited. I'm sorry. Like what Meta J says, my publics can't come on here. It has to be only for first ladies, period. No one else, because it has to be a safe place. I have a prophetic advisement business, and it completely hinges on confidentiality. If I were to say one thing, it would completely sink and drown and belly up the business. So I understand how important it is, to be confidential. So if we did a part 2, it would only be for first ladies. Now, let me say this. Also, it's been my experience as a leader. I haven't been a senior leader, although people try to put me in that position. But I've been in leadership for over 3 decades. And first ladies, I will say this to you, that's a red flag. And I'm sure that you've experienced this. When you have someone who says, Lady Latoya, I just love you. I love you so much. I love you. Ooh, you got somebody who's always telling you they love you and is always giving you monetary gifts. That will be the first person that will cut your throat in the spirit. If you cross them, and I'm saying that in a very crass way, but that is the very person that does not really love you and will not really be loyal. I have saw this over and over again, even in business, when someone will say, I'm your ride or die, I'll be with you to the end, and they will be the first ones that will leave your business. So that is a red flag when you see someone saying stuff like that over and over. Everything ends with, now I'm not saying that it's a red flag if someone says I love you. I'll use my sister Peggy, like we get ready to hang up and say I love you. Me and Prophet Greta say I love you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody leads with that every time they talk with you. Every conversation, it's always about how much they love you. Even when they're on a meeting with other members, Sister Latoya knows I love her. It's a red flag. So this is something that I wanted to ask you. Have you ever had a member that just had animus towards you, just did not like you, and was just very difficult to deal with? And if so, how did you handle that? I've had that in ministry, and I'm gonna tell you, I only had it with one person, and I don't think I passed the test that well, because I'm like this. I'll go so far, and then after so long, I'm gonna wake up one day and I'm gonna snap. I'm gonna catch a case. So how did you deal with that, if you ever had that happen?
I absolutely had that happen. I am sure that if we did a poll right now, I just got some more first ladies that were like, put me in this chat, Abby, where is this video? Where is this happening? So that's why I was looking down. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I got a lot more people that were like, where's the link? We want to come. So there should
Tell
be
them just to go on Facebook and look under my name.
It's some other ladies coming on it. But like I said, I was very careful in how I push this out. So there's a couple now that are getting ready to join in too, about 4 or 5 more first ladies. So okay, so what I would say to that, and I think it's kind of funny that if if we did a poll with the first ladies here, I am almost 1,000% confident that every first lady here will say there is at least one person from the time that you joined the church that just did not care for you for whatever reason. They just did not like you. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to say anything to them. You are here. And they do not like you. Oh, Lady Bianca. There are just, look, First Lady Lori. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Every First Lady here, I think, can attest that you don't have to do anything. It's just your existence. And let me be transparent. And I'm sure they're gonna back me up. Let's just go, right? I'm just loving the First Lady comments back to back. Man, look. I think if we be really transparent, there's a litany of reasons that happens, right? So I don't like, maybe you're not, to my very beginning, you don't fit in the box of what I thought the first lady needed to be. That Lady Karen just said so true. I just love that all the comments back to back are like, yes. Mm-hmm. All the first ladies are like, yes. You don't.
Wait, she goes, you breathing. You breathing.
Like, yes, Lady Kyra, your existence.
Wow, Lord. But tell me, how do y'all deal with it? Because I tried to deal with it. I'm not a first lady, but I was a leader, and I tried to deal with it, and I just was nice to them. I was always catering to them. And then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? It's enough of this. And I went in the church and didn't speak to them, and they tried to crucify me to the pastor. You know, so how do you deal with that?
I'm trying not to laugh at the first lady's comments because they're like, yes, it's chapter 5, paragraph 5.
Marita, I'm getting ready to come to that one. That's the next question. Yes. Just give me a minute.
Yes, so that I was going to say that some of them will, they won't like you because you don't fit in the very thing I said at the beginning, the preconceived notion, the expectation of what I thought you should be to be married to my pastor. Because again, it's that church ownership, right? Of, well, you're married to him. He's my pastor. You should look like this. You should speak like this. You should be over this ministry. You should not be over any ministries. In Women's Day, you should just pray. People have the boxes. And when you don't go into those boxes easily, everyone doesn't take kind to that. Or maybe you are doing something that, as a member, you're doing something that maybe is not right. It is disrespectful. That first lady could mention something, and now we're on the outs because you called it out. You had to check me or address me. And if I go real deep, some of them don't like you because they thought they should have been you.
Oh, for sure. And still trying to be you.
Amen.
Oh yeah.
You know, so some of them.
Wait. How do you deal with a woman that was there before you that thought she was gonna be the pastor's wife, and he chose you instead, and she's still there? How do you deal with her?
Well, see, thank the Lord, I did not have that. What I did have, I will part two. But I didn't have anyone that was around that like stayed. Now, will women show up? Will they? Oh my gosh, absolutely. I think every person, she said, drop the mics. They know I'm literally, that's why I wanted so many first ladies to be able to say, this is not just my thought. This is, of all years and backgrounds, this is the feeling. But I didn't have to deal with anyone there before, because in our case, I wrote his resume, that he had to submit to become the pastor of the church. So we were in this walking in the building together. So I didn't have that. Now I do know there are stories of women that have, dealt with that. And I know there you go, deal with her with a long handled spoon. I'm just going to say, I know if he is anything worth his weight, he's going to block that at the door. You shouldn't even have to worry about a woman in his face. If he knows that there was something there should be a level of respect. If you're his wife, I shouldn't have to consult you, talk to you, coerce you to do anything. That's ridiculous. I should not have to do that as your wife, just like you shouldn't have to, as a husband, worry about anybody in your face about me. So I do think that there is a line of just boundary and respect that should be there to begin with, not even as a pastor, as a man and as a husband, that I shouldn't have to worry about those things. There's so many other worries to worry about in life between marriage and then ministry, because every marriage doesn't have ministry on top of marriage. But for those who do, that should not be another added layer. So I will say, if that is the case, because like I said, that was never my case, but if that was the case, I think I would go to him just to make sure there's a great understanding of, if this is a member of the church, I think that's really dicey. But as long as he knows how to be respectful in the situation, if he's made it very clear, there's nothing there. There's nothing that will be there. This is my wife. You have to honor her. If you're going to be at this church, this is the first lady, and I need you to honor and respect that. I respect that if you're a leader, that is the way that you would handle that. It shouldn't be the two women in a corner and her having to defend herself and claw herself out of a corner because all the women are in on her because, again, they wanted that position. I think it should always be on the husband and the leader to lead, even in that position, if it's even acceptable for that woman to be a member of the church. But then to the question you had asked before, because we got to that in how do you deal with difficult members? I think there is a litany of ways. It depends on the member, and I think it depends on
the husband needs to deal with the member. I feel it doesn't matter what it is. If the woman is coming at you, if there's somebody that has animus against you, if it's a woman's trying to get in the bed with your man, the husband is responsible to check.
Oh, absolutely, all of that. Absolutely. But I mean, even as like just a difficult member in general, that maybe you don't want them, but you're just difficult. I think that you have every right. This goes back into this box conversation of people assume, well, she's the pastor's wife, she's not going to say anything. That don't mean I'm not going to say anything. It means I'm going to be careful and prayerful in how I say it. It does not mean I'm not going to if you're disrespecting me, because I'm a member, just like you're a member, and I'm not going to tolerate you disrespecting me intentionally, especially because you believe I can't say anything. I've seen situations where people will disrespect the wife and then, "Hi, pastor," and completely disregard his wife. I can't respect it. You don't respect both, because we're still supposed to be one. And again, if he is a leader, the way that he should be, that should be very clear. I've seen pastors at the end of church services say, "I want my wife to come up here, stand up here with me. We're all going to greet the congregation," because to respect me is to respect the woman that I love. You respect us both as a unit. I appreciate those moments, because there are people that will try it and will test it. I will say that, again, if there are people just in general, again, not connected to, I want to be with the pastor, I want just difficult members, I think there's nothing wrong with having a conversation to address it. I think for me, and people just know this about me, I've always been so nice that there were people that tested my niceness. And I think they realized when I can speak up for myself and you're not going to disrespect me. And matter of fact, I'll call the pastor and we'll both be in this meeting. I'm going to say what I'm going to say to you with him here, because I have all ability to do so, because I am in the right. I think that's when people started, the difficult people, I'm saying, started saying, well, we do respect her. I remember people telling me sometimes when you're too nice, they think, well, I can't connect with her. She's not from where I'm from. I don't respect her. She doesn't live the life I live. And there were times where there were people, you stepped up, I stepped right up with you. We stepped up together. And some of them became my best friends, because then the discussion was, wow, I do have more in common than I thought I did. I just thought, because you hear the pastor every week, right? You hear him preach, he prays for your family, he blesses the babies, he buries your family members. But the wife, oftentimes she's quiet, maybe on the front row, second row, third row, depending on the church and the denomination again. Sometimes she's more of a in the background person. I don't really get her personality. I don't really know her. And then if she doesn't do anything in any ministry, she's kind of this, thought in my mind of what I consider her to be, but I don't really know. And so sometimes that again causes perception, whether right or wrong, it will cause people to have thought about you. So the more you speak up, the more people get to know you. Some people love it. Some people are like, I didn't think she was like that. Because they don't expect it. But I've learned that, at the end of the day, I love God. And I when I tell you, the thing I love the most about ministry is serving God's people. I love the stuff that people do not know to this day that I would do, especially in the women's ministry with the women. Those are the things that pushed me forward. So you don't have to like me. You don't have to know anything about me. But if I know that God is pleased with my efforts and the things that I have done, you're going to take up your issues with the Lord and whatever things you've put together in your mind of the reasons that you dislike me simply because of who I'm married to.
So here's the last question. I just wanted this to be 1 hour because I didn't want to try to exhaust everything and we wouldn't have a part 2. So Devon, his name is Devon Franklin. I'm going to give you my opinion of what contributed to the demise of his marriage to Meagan Good. I really feel like that marriage was handicapped from the beginning because he chose someone in the world to begin with. And not to say anything was wrong with that, even though scripture says, be ye not unequally yoked. However, I still feel like there's more. You got to really study that scripture out. So I don't think it was anything wrong. There's people in the church that said he should have never got with her for whatever reason. She wasn't saved, yada, yada, yada. But I watched the demise of their marriage down through the years. And I blame two facets of that. Number one, the church they were just horrid to her. I mean, you all seen public displays of attack about the way she dressed, about, her being too provocative, about even her being an actress and the roles that she took and the things that she did. And I don't know if anyone watched her publicly cry on the stage when a woman stood up and attacked her, and then he jumped in and defended her. And so their marriage probably ended maybe 2 years after that. And I feel like the breakdown of their marriage came from Devon crumbling under the pressure of the church itself and the expectations, of ministry and the way he should have had his wife in check or the type of marriage he should have had. And so then I see Jamal Bryant's wife come out in that dress. Now, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but even though she tries to jump bad and talk about people can't tell her what to do, her whole attire has changed since that naked looking dress that she had. I'm just going to say it like that. I'm not on here to give an opinion one way or the other. We joke about it. That's why I said it was a flesh tone and it wasn't her skin or none of that. But after that onslaught of attack on her, I noticed that her whole attire has become a little bit more conservative, a little bit more subdued. So the question that I have for you is, how do you feel? Do you dress with the ministry in mind? Or do you feel like that the church should not have any say so on how a first lady dresses, that she should have the freedom to dress however she chooses to dress? Because there's no term of first lady in the Bible. First of all, that's a man-made term, and there's no blueprint for it. Man made all that crap up. It's pharisaical as far as I'm concerned. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love this question here. I feel like we could have had a whole discussion just on the clothing of the first lady. Yeah, and I love this question because when I got married, I was in my 20s. and 20s at a church that was about 90 years old, almost 90 years old at the time. Yes, very traditional church. As I mentioned, later on became a historical church in Chicago. So you're talking about a church that had a long held belief of what a first lady should be, and should look like, and how she should carry herself. And so that became very evident. I just love her. That became very evident very immediately. So I'm going to say this just off the bat. The church should buy yes, First Lady. Yes. Over the wardrobe. If you are, yes. So yes, I will say that just to start off, like I mentioned before, I've been born and raised going to church. I also was raised in a 2-parent household with both parents in the church in leadership positions. And so I was raised that there is a way that you carry yourself regardless of whether you're in church or not. So for me, when it comes to dressing and how to dress, I always had a standard before being married. I was always going to dress a certain way. I was raised that there are just certain things you don't even go out the house in. I am of the class of, you don't wear bonnets out the house. We don't wear pajamas out the house.
Or in the airport.
Or definitely not in the airport. That is very public. Not in the you dress a certain way. I was raised that you put on slips. Over time it became Spanx. Slips aren't as much as a thing as Spanx. You do wear tights. I hated them as a kid because they would always run and they were itchy when you're 8 years old. But it taught me how to dress, how to cross your legs in church, how to carry yourself, how to, just be as a woman and be feminine in church and not having to be flashy. And that's what I say. I think that's a whole other discussion of, you can be beautiful and classy, everything you need to be, and don't have to be full of skin and full of, anything on the negative side. So I bring that up because going into church, oh, hey, Erica, I just love her. So going into church, I already had a standard of how to dress. I think to begin, I was very clear with asking him what things can I wear? Because I understand coming into denomination, again, wanting to be respectful of him as a leader. If pants are off the table, that's fine, which he did not say they were. Which I know will ruffle some feathers.
Oh, honey, I'm not doing that.
Some of this, I got a story about that too.
I went 10 years not wearing pants. I got out of Church of God in Christ. I got free. I'm not going back.
Yeah, there's some people that will make you feel a way about that. And so what I appreciated is that I was able to be myself. Again, I knew how to dress to begin with. Now, I will say within the first 3 months, I was walking into the church service on a Sunday morning. And so a lot of times I would wear, because I found them just easy. Again, I'm 25, 26 years old. I've now become a first lady of a pretty large church here in Chicago really quickly. So my go-to dress was an A-line dress. It's safe. It's not super fitted. Now what I would do though, a lot of them didn't have sleeves. It would be no sleeve, fitted, but A-line dress past my knee, nice heels. I still wear the tights because my mama taught me to wear them early on, and then I, sit where I'm supposed to sit. And I had someone stop me in my first 3 months, and she said, "You are walking around here with no sleeves on, showing your arms out." And she literally did this to her arms.
What?
And she said, "If you keep doing that, your arms are going to flap like this." I'm 26.
What did you say to her? What did you say to her?
I think because I was shocked that she stopped me to address my dress. I'm like, the only skin I'm showing is my arms. Like, what is happening? I was so confused. I'm in my
I couldn't do
20s.
it. I couldn't be no
And the first the first thing I did, honestly, because again, this is 3 months in. So I'm trying to be cognizant that the very discussion that I just had with you of people have a perception of what they think you should be. And because I wanted to be very just conscious of my first perception in the church, newly married to him. He is a new pastor. Like I said, we came in at the same time together. He became pastor 6 months before we were married. So when I say we were fresh coming into this, it was fresh.
Y'all had
everything happened.
Y'all got a new marriage and ministry.
Everything happened in the same year.
That's no way.
Yeah. And so you imagine that there was a lot to take in. So I knew, again, I'm very strategic. I understand business. Very common sense. My mother and father did not raise me to do anything disrespectful, to have common sense. So I knew I can't just come at her anyway. I'm 3 months into this position.
Wow.
This could go really bad because I don't understand. Is this a church rule? Like, where did this come from that she thought to stop me, to tell me my arms being out was not appropriate? Even saying, she's in these Michelle Obama dresses. Okay. All right. I guess it's coined that it's a Michelle Obama dress.
She didn't approve of Michelle Obama. Okay.
I guess she didn't like her dress, or maybe I should not have had them at church. So the thing that I did appreciate was I went to him because, again, you're the pastor. So I'm going to ask you, since this is a member, I'm a member as well. They do not know me yet. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to come off as if I'm going tit for tat, or I don't want that. So I went to him and I asked him, what to do. And he helped me to start addressing it. The one thing that I loved that he said from the very beginning, he said, I don't want you to change how you dressed. I married you based on how you dress. Great. So you do not have to assimilate. And because of course, you're first getting married at the time, Preachers of LA was on. So I'm watching they're dressed a certain way. And he's going, don't watch any of that. I need you to be you. And that's who I decided to marry based on how you dress. And I appreciate that he didn't try to make me into the big hat wearing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I do have some beautiful hats, but I realized I love fascinators. That kind of worked for me. And I would always joke and say, you give me about 20, 30 years, I'm going to be in the hats too. But right now, I'm a fascinator girl. I like the headband, I'm a fascinator. But it makes sense. I'm 26, 27 years old going into this, position. And so it was very helpful that he would say, I'll give you another example where when he stepped in, it changed everything. And that I was walking from his office one Sunday through the lobby. And one of the ladies was an older lady, a church mother, was in the lobby sitting down. Mm-hmm. And she said, and at this point, this has been only a few months, so people, again, putting you in their box of what they expect you to be. And so I remember her saying, come here. Yes, ma'am. Oh, and this is happening. I'm trying to get up the stairs. And I'm like, what are we about to talk about? Because whatever it is, I just don't like the way it's starting. Come here. Tell me the problem with your outfit right now. What's wrong with what you're wearing? Now I got to explain to you this dress. I wore this dress recently. Yeah, it was long, full sleeves, billowed. The dress was to the floor.
No way.
It completely covered, but it had a V. And she said, you got this V. So people could almost see your chest. I remember being so frustrated because it had only been a couple months. And by then, when she said, come here, at that point, I said, what do you want? What's going on? Something. No. What's the problem? And she pointed. And I just told you, fully clothed. No. There's no skin. At a V. And after that day, I remember going to him and I had said to him, someone came to me about my clothing. Now, at this point, I'd had people coming saying, well, First Lady, they're talking about the fact that you're wearing pencil skirts. I'm 27 years old. I wear pencil skirts to work. I can't wear a pencil skirt.
Oh my God.
What's wrong with the pencil skirt? That's all the way down to my ankle because it was a pencil skirt. And so when I came to him, that the thing that really did help me, that's why I said it does depend on, how people are, how they're married and what their beliefs and systems are. And so he told me, and I used it from that day forevermore, and it worked. He said, from now on, if somebody stops you about what you're wearing, you tell them pastor picked it. He wanted me to wear it. He said,
Exactly.
I'll leave you alone. Do you know I used that for the rest of all my days of
Like
being
Jamal Bryan told them, I bought the dress.
And when he said that, at that point, when people would come to me and they would say something, I said, well, Pastor picked this out this morning. Oh my gosh, I love that outfit. Pastor did a great job.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
I guess he did a great job. It wasn't me.
It's crazy. Oh my God.
It didn't turn after that. So yeah, I do think people have this perception of what the expectation is, and that is difficult. That's why I say it does depend on the denomination. It depends on the years of the church. It depends on your age. Even 27 years old going into a church, I didn't think there was anything wrong with an A-line dress. I didn't show anything but my arms, my shoulders.
Oh my God.
But because of what people expect you to be, they will try to box you in. So I learned over time. I'm going to always be fancy.
Pastor Corey's asking the question. Pastor Corey, this question is going to get you in trouble because I saw you put this on Facebook months ago and people tried to tear you up about it. Do you guys feel that some women are so shapely that no matter what they wear, their shape is going to stand out? That's a male question from a male point of view. So in other words, you're feeling like the clothes that they wear are too tight.
Well, I don't know, because I almost can look at that in the opposite of, depending on my body type, it doesn't matter what I wear, you're going to see a shape.
The way clothes are made and tailored today, you're gonna wear sweatpants like a nun and dress matronly. You're gonna, Pastor Corey, you're gonna have to just get with it because you're gonna see a shape.
Yeah, it does. It really doesn't. You can honestly wear a t-shirt and sweats, which I do. I work out. You know, I'm very fit. You know, I work out. You know, in sweats. Sweats look different on people that work out versus people that don't work out. I think that's all I got to say there. Yeah. But I think that's what he was trying to say. Yeah, he's agreeing with us. So he's saying, right, that's my point. So I think that's the point that he's making, that there are sometimes, which I didn't go into, but we're here, let's just go out on the ledge. There are sometimes that I'm not really mad at what you're wearing. I'm mad that I can't wear it. And I can't wear it in the way that it looks like on you.
Right, exactly.
It might not be that you have the pencil skirt on, because if we really talk about it, I might be 70, 80, 90 complaining about your 32-year-old pencil skirt. But when I was 32, I probably had on a pencil skirt too. So I think sometimes, even in hearing some of those comments, like I said, the thing that helped me was once I said pastor chose it, it was everyone's favorite outfit for that Sunday. But I do think also just understanding the audience, understanding the people who are making the comments. Are you a constant complainer? Are you just we just always got to find something to be stressed out about? And I'll say this too, which is, I know this is so crazy, but it's so true. You have to sometimes ask, why are you looking that hard at me as a wife? Why aren't you looking up at the pulpit where the pastor is? I had people say to me, oh, I noticed you went to a different stylist, because their exact words.
You're watching me that much.
They're the exact words. Your curl pattern is different. I said, wow, you noticed the curl? I'm like, I did go to a different stylist, but that's wild. That you're watching that hard. But people do, they're going to watch there. Again, I think sometimes it goes into I don't know so much about her. He's the one I see, weekly, but I want to know more about her. So they watch reactions. They watch to see how you react when he says certain things in the pulpit. I think that's just people's curiosity in nature, which is completely fine. I think it's when people start overstepping to try to tell you who to be, what to be, how to dress, what to speak, what to say, what ministry to be in, based on, again, what they think you should be based on their own negative, old-fashioned, outdated, ill perception of who they have built you in your mind to need to be married to their pastor.
Yeah. Well, that's it for tonight. We are going to end. We went actually almost an hour and a half. Because I'm trying to, I come on at 7:30. Yeah, and we started about quarter to 8. So
maybe I can ask before we go, since there are so many first ladies, I don't know if anyone had another question or had a comment as a first lady that they just want to at least be stated. Because like I said, there are so many on here. And I saw them making comments, and I saw them with their own stories and testimonies. Many of them are very in the same vein of things that will shock you, of like, oh yeah, wow, oh, okay.
That's why I was trying to put their comments on the screen. Karen Causey, she says, part 2. Oh, this has been very good conversation and the interactions. She said part 2. I was trying to put it up, but it kind of moved before I was able.
Yeah, I would love to, because there's been so many things and stories and situations. And I will say, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of good, at least I've had. Now, I can't say for everybody. This is a very individualized opinion, because some people say the whole thing was terrible, throw it all away. I will never say that. And I'll never say that, because it allowed me to do what I absolutely love to do, work with people, help people. So much good work has come in being the wife. But you see firsthand, a lot of times, and this is something I will say for the first ladies, they, might, she said, and possibly we need a part 2 and a part 3.
Yeah, they're saying they want another one. We're gonna have to figure out what the platform should be, because I just want I want people to be able to talk, because you can't help anyone if you have to stay quiet, and so if you don't feel safe, you're not going to talk. And this is not the platform to talk on. This is Facebook. We are streaming simultaneously on 3 platforms right now. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So yeah, and I think we curated it very well, where it was protected conversation, but yet we got the point across. But if you guys want to really get R-rated, then we're going to have to go private. We're going to have to go dark. So we'll figure it out.
But yeah, I just wanted to make sure in case they wanted to.
Absolutely. She said, can I be invited to be the first lady? She wants to be.
She is married to a pastor's son. She is. That is a true statement.
Yes, absolutely. Remind me, Latoya.
I would say there's a couple.
I would love to do a panel.
Yeah, there's a couple on here I think should definitely be part, because they are very connected in ministry, and they do understand. That was the thing I was going to say too. That part of being tough, because I don't want people. If people know anything about me, I am very unbiased. Just because what happened in my particular situation that my marriage did not last, that's not to say that being married to all pastors is bad. Not in any way. I want people to understand that some of the greatest moments thank you. So you will always be my first lady. She was a member of the church that we're talking about.
Okay.
So she has seen a lot firsthand. But so some of the greatest moments of ministry has been being able to see firsthand the work that someone is doing, for members in ministry, being able to work side by side to help people. Like I said, there are a lot of times that I did things that to this day people didn't know. I would take women when I knew, they didn't have money, or they lost their job, or, maybe you didn't feel great about yourself. I'm going to do something secretly for you, maybe groceries or getting medicine for women. So a lot of it, and I think that's the thing that I feel like the first ladies can agree to. A lot of it is not public. It's the work that you do in private, knowing, that you are going to bless God and bless God's people. So regardless of who you're married to, I think that's one of the biggest blessings of being in that type of position, is that if you really take it seriously, you will do the work. And that's why I mentioned the amount of things I started, retreats and sponsorship money, and I mean, down to the gigantic banners on both sides of the pulpits. We got them from a movie director because we were in a movie. And I was like, hey, I did a whole spiel on the church and the pastor of why we needed to keep those. And they're there to this day. There are a lot of things that I can say that I contributed to a ministry, and am grateful to have had that opportunity to do so. So yes, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about being a first lady, and a lot of things that people just, they don't understand. It's like this elusive position, woman, who are you? And I should have said this too at the beginning. I always say pastors, for the most part, are pretty much, I'm not going to say the same because they're not, but they have a lot of the same characteristics. I will say that. Many of them charismatic. They know the word, or at least they should know the word. Many of them are very educated. They are people persons. They love doing God's work. I will say they're excited for the call, but I can't say that. Some are like, this wasn't my call and God made me do this and here I am. So, but for the most part, they have a lot of the same storyline, through line, I'll say. When it comes to the wives, they're all over the place. You get some that are very quiet behind the scenes. You will not hear or see from them. You have some that are the co-pastors. They're book authors. They're pastors. They are global leaders. They travel the world. They preach on one side of the country, preach on the other. They span the globe of the scale, I'll say, of what a pastor's wife is. So I think at the end of the day, a pastor wife really is a woman that is married to a pastor, that is a Christian. Prayerfully, you are a Christian, you're married to a pastor, and you love the Lord. And if you do nothing in the church, your job may be just to make sure the home is good. You do whatever it is that you all have agreed to in this marriage, you do that well, and you do it to honor him and to honor God. That's really essentially, at the end of the day, what a first lady really should be. Because to your point, there's no biblical title. People do it to give honor to that woman who many times, and I know a lot of first ladies will agree to this, they do sacrifice so much of their time. They sacrifice vacations. They sacrifice family time, children time, trips, because of a pastor's schedule. Maybe I know of families that were on vacations. Pastor had to drop everything because he had to fly back home because there was a death in the family or death in someone's family. You know, there's a lot of sacrifice. I knew y'all was going to come with me, first ladies, when I started. I knew they were coming. There's a lot of sacrifice in this role. And I want people to really know that too, about a first lady is, yes, that title, it really does not exist. But it does exist in the world too. There's some honor in the honor of the woman who often has to share her husband with her church, with her community, with sometimes the globe. And to be able to do that as a woman, to be able to trust your husband, to trust that he's around women in positions and doing right, to trust that he's in inboxes and right, that he's traveling and right, that he is leading integrally, not just in the pulpit, but in private. I think there's a lot of weight and a lot of sacrifice for that woman. So I honor every lady. That's why I think I have such a heart for it, because many people don't understand that weight that is carried, that many of these pastors are up praying at night or crying at night, or they're men, they're attacked, they have feelings, they are crying because, you know, they were put out publicly. A member left the church for something that was a lie. You know, and they're hurt by that. And now you've got to walk the floor with him, or you wake up and he's not there because he's going through some of the pastors are paying the bills for the church and for the
good side. That's the good side.
I have served, acknowledge that good side. There are many pastors that are doing what they should do.
There are, but then I have served where out of all the pastors I served, only 2 of them were faithful to their wife. And I know that absolute fact. I have the proof and the receipts. 2 out of all the 36 years that I served were faithful to their wife.
And I think that goes into like a deeper, and that probably is a 2 and 3 conversation.
Oh, for sure. I watched those wives suffer, and none of them would even consider leaving. None of them.
Yeah. That I could definitely go way down the path right there of the whys of why that happens, depending on her age, Did she have a job before? Sometimes, I will say this a little, sometimes you grieve the loss of the identity because I was a wife. Who am I if I'm not the wife? Who am I if I'm not his wife? This is what I've known, especially depending on how many years you've been married to that person. If you put all your vision and all your effort into supporting him, into supporting that ministry, that is a terrible letdown, because the feeling that comes through that of, I gave everything to this. And now what do I do when I'm not connected to it? How do I start over? And who am I starting over? And I don't even think that's a pastor's wife thing. I think that's a wife thing, that there are many women who stay because who am I if I'm not? This is what I've known. You were the covering, you were the protection. You hear all the stories of ain't nobody out there. There's, I'm saying, pee in the pool. You hear all this stuff. And the thought of having to start over. And for some people, that's very scary. It's debilitating. And you feel like, what do I do? Who am I? If I've done so much to build it, I'm going to at least try to fight for it because I don't know what else to do in this situation. And I also say, sometimes it is the church. It is, what will people say? What will people feel? What will they think about me? Or what will they say, because of this decision? The church will disown me. They'll mistreat me, and can I deal with that? And that takes a strong person to know I'm going to be talked about. People are going to make up, my God, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, where you found that out? Well, okay. That is crazy. But it takes a strong person to know that might come from the separation. But for those women, but I don't know them. I don't know their situations. Sometimes the healing is in becoming and learning, I was God's all along. So who am I now? That is not based on a title. It's based on how do I handle the situation? I think that says a lot about you and your character of who you were in it and who you are coming out of it, as well as what I become from it. How, in my case, I literally prayed every morning and every night. My prayer was, Lord, let my pain be for purpose. Let there be a reason that, because if it just happened for nothing, now I can't understand that, Jesus. But if it happened because it's going to help somebody one day, then let me do it with all righteousness. Let me do it the best way that I know how to do it. So that way I could come out and somebody else can learn or get something from me and my testimony. Maybe a pastor will decide to go home, to do right by his wife, to change his ways because he hears this is the other side. Maybe a woman realizes it might be too much. I might have to, go away because I tried. I did everything I could do. I honored, and now I have to honor God because he loves me too. I'm his daughter too, but I knew that whatever I do is going to be to bless someone else in it. So I can't speak for the other women of whether they stay, of whether they go. I fought. And when the ink dried, I literally said, okay, God, I did everything I was supposed to do. I will hold my head up and I'm going to do even greater now. That was one chapter. And now watch what I'm going to do in the next. And so I tell people now, Satan thought he won, but now I'm coming after him for all the families that are fighting, for all the families that are in positions. I want to be a voice and help people to say, it doesn't have to end that way. We got God, we win already. So let's fight through it so we could get to the end, whatever that, end looks like. So yes, I do pray. I pray for those ladies. I pray for the ladies who feel they have no voice. It is scary. You feel outnumbered. You do feel isolated. I said at the beginning, people honor sometimes title and who you're connected to over you as a person. And if I feel that I'm going to be thrown away, sometimes it's easier to fight to stay. And so my heart hurts for the women that have felt like they were in that position and had to make that decision. But I think at the end, the very thing I said, going to God about it, good wisdom and counsel from people who really have your back to do to see you do well, to see both of you do well. Honestly, I think that's very important. And then just use discernment in the decision so that you can do what God would really want you to do. Even if those ladies were listening, that's all I can say, is to really hear from God and follow what he directs you to do, whether that's to fight or whether it's to walk away and be proud either way.
That's it, you guys. We are done. We are closing out. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Latoya, so much for this. This was enriching. We will figure out how we will do a part 2. Latoya, you can stay on because I'm going to close out with my little closeout.
Can I also say this too real quick? Oh, First Lady Maddie Barnes is on too. Hey, First Lady. Oh, sorry. When I say there's so much wisdom and there's some ladies on here, there are some powerful women that are on this call. Oh my gosh. What I want to say is I thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I have done, people know I speak all the time about work, church, clothing. I love a good outfit now. Penguins, my work, all those things. But I have not yet had the opportunity. This is the first time, and I'll be transparent and just say that took a while for me to feel not afraid to speak out. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that publicly because I know there are women that have been afraid. They do go through things in ministry. They do go through things in marriage, and they are often afraid to speak out because of judgment, because of being isolated, because of being condemned. I had people that walked away from me and they just didn't know the truth, and they walked away, and that's okay. And that's okay. And I've grown enough to know the people that are for me and that are with me, and that really honor my heart and what they know is right. They're going to be there regardless of my title, regardless of what has happened. But I have to say thank you for giving me that space, because for a long time I felt fear of, well, I can't share anything. What if I say something and then they're mad at me? The church is mad at me. Families are mad at me, and the feeling of feeling silenced. And so silence led to a lot of public lies, a lot of things that were not told, that were not true. A lot of people turning on me because of what they thought, because they didn't know the truth. And so thank you. Like I said, I haven't done the full, here's the story of my life, because that's a Tyler Perry movie. But I thank you for even giving me as a first time to publicly even share about this season that has meant so much to me in my life. And for the first time, I'm speaking to it post this season in my life in a new season. So thank you for giving me the platform to not be afraid and to speak out. I honor you in all of what you do. So thank you. And thank you for allowing all the first ladies that are on here making the comments too. So I'm very excited to see what will come from this.
Yeah, we will do a part 2 for sure. So stay on because you'll be backstage and I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Thank you all so much for being on. God bless. I will not be on Monday because I will be in St. Louis. So I don't know. I think I'm going to do a pop-up clubhouse to just be with you guys because I got so much traveling and I'm not going to be available, but we won't be on Monday for sure. But watch for some pop-up clubhouses that I'm just going to get on and flow prophetically and bless you all. Okay. God bless.